5 years ago, I started my engineering journey as a biomedical engineer and not a software engineer. I eventually transitioned to software engineering because I learned the laws of leverage. My name is Matt, and I'm a software engineer that creates content about developing yourself both personally and professionally. If you're interested in more content like this, be sure to subscribe, and I really appreciate your guys' support. As a software engineer, why are we one of the highest paid engineering fields out there? It's because as software engineers, we have high leverage. Leverage is the ability for you to put in an X amount of work and get substantially higher rewards for the amount of work that you're putting in. And so I'll ask you, right? As a software engineer, what is one of the highest leverage things that has been done in the past, right? What was one thing that basically changed the entirety of the world through software? I'll start with something simple. Google.com. Now, Google.com wasn't easy to create in any sense, right? All of the work it took to create search and, organize all the websites on the internet was not easy, but after Google.com was created and after everybody started using it, essentially Google created the most amount of leverage possible at the time as a software engineering company, right? Because they put in an X amount of effort to create this website, but now everybody is using this website and physically be there in order for this website to work. Anybody in the world can use it, and it's also pouring in cash because everybody relies on it as well. So a very high leverage tool was created through Google.com. And there are loads of other examples, right? Facebook, Spotify. You think about these tools, they are used by millions, if not billions of people. Think about the software that we use for taxes. Think about the software that we use for police officers. Everybody uses software. And if you really think about it, software engineering is pretty much always present throughout modern people's lives. I'm not going to say it's the best engineering field and everybody should get into it, but in the modern society, we all rely on software. But the question is, okay, if that's the case, what about people who don't need software, right? I did biomedical engineering my first 4 years at my undergrad. I realized something at the end of my 4 years. Biomedical engineers get paid a lot less than software engineers. And this kind of confused me because it's like, hey, as a biomedical engineer, I'm creating life-saving tools that could save the software engineers. It's like, hey, shouldn't my field have more leverage? Shouldn't I, the person who's creating medical technologies that one day will possibly save the people who are creating this software and doing all these awesome things, right? Shouldn't I be rewarded for my efforts? But no, that's not the case, because guess what? Even though everybody is going to die, everybody also is going to live. And that means that everybody is going to have to do something with the time that they have on this earth. And as a software engineer, you probably will create more software that people will use throughout the entirety of their lives than a biomedical engineer who people will only use 1 to 2 times, or maybe not 1 to 2 times. How many times do you go to the doctor, or however many times you go to a medical facility, whatever. It's important those specific amount of times, but hey, you're not using a medical device every single day unless you have some sort of disease or illness or something like that, right? And so for the distribution curve of who gets paid the most, software engineers lie here because they have the highest leverage field and they have the highest ability to affect the most amount of people with the least amount of effort. And if you don't believe me, we can pull up levels.fyi. I can show you here that a biomedical engineer working at Johnson & Johnson gets paid around $100,000, while a software engineer at a company like Bloomberg gets paid pretty much double that. And I'm not saying this is something wrong with the system. I just think it's something that we need to observe. And it's also something that other people have observed as well. Software engineering is a pretty popular field, right? Computer science, a lot of people do it. Why now, of all the times, is software engineering becoming such a high unemployment field, right? People can't find jobs. It's been more difficult now than ever. Well, it's because that AI has actually increased the amount of leverage that you have as a software engineer and a CS student. And you may be saying, hey, okay, so doesn't that mean that we should be hiring more people? No, that means that companies can get more out of employees while all paying them the same amount and not giving more opportunities to younger people. And you may say, how could you say that? Like companies have our best interests in mind, right? They only want to hire the best. Well, yes, that is true. They want to hire the best, but they also want to get the best out of you, right? Big companies understand that the more they can get out of you, the higher leverage that they'll have in general, right? Why do big tech companies provide all these free perks? Why do they make it so that it's more likely that you'll stay through all these packages and through these things? It's because as a software engineer, you have the ability and the chance to make them way more money than you possibly ever could getting paid as an engineer. And this is the case with all businesses, but it's more than ever the case in software engineering. And so this is not a reason for you to be upset. It's a reason for you to understand that the knowledge and skill set that you have can be applied to creating your own business, where the relationship, instead of you being the person that, accepts what is, you are the person who denies. And with that comes a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, and it involves you not being able to enjoy the perks. It involves you not being able to feel the status of saying, hey, I work at one of these companies. Instead, what you get is the pain that the people who originally developed Google in the beginning, or whatever software that affects the most amount of people in the world, got when they first started their tool, right? And this is the problem. It's the fact that people don't understand that the real importance of engineering is not so much that, hey, I learned this skill or passed X tests so I can go work at X company. It's more that, hey, I can figure things out. I can think. And now more than ever, I think that this is something that people are forgetting. So then the question kind of is do you want to play the game or do you not? And for me, I'm not really sure what the right answer is, right? I'm certain that as a software engineer at a high big tech company, right, where you're getting this high salary and you're enjoying life and you get, whatever amount of PTO, you're going to have a great time. But I also understand that you have limited agency because you are working for someone else. And I don't think this is a bad thing, but you just need to understand that this is a trade-off, right? You don't have to be there when the servers go down, right? If the company stock is plundering, sure, you may get laid off or whatever like that, right? And sure, that sounds devastating, but imagine being the person who owns the company who has to be the person who lays the people off, right? Then it's really, really your fault. And you have to deal with all of the problems that come alongside that. It's not an easy job to be the number one. And that's the question you kind of have to ask yourself, right? Why are you doing engineering? Is it to make a company richer? Is it to solve problems that make you happy to solve? I can't answer those questions for you, but what I can say is that decide now or decide never. Because if you don't decide, then somebody else is going to decide for you. And this is something that is pretty prevalent in a lot of my friend circles and the people that I see. It's that they don't believe that they can actually accomplish literally anything. And I think that you can accomplish literally anything. And what do I mean by that? If you want to be a millionaire, there are actually many steps and things that people have done before that have given them a likely chance to become a millionaire. And if you just follow those steps, you probably could become a millionaire. But now, to become a billionaire, there are probably going to be a lot less people for you to follow. And that means because of that, you're going to have to make a little bit more decisions and choices that might not make sense in the moment or might be a wrong step or a wrong direction, right? And you're going to have to deal with that because you're taking on the challenge and the pain of being a billionaire with a B and not a millionaire with an M. Again, right? You can accomplish anything. You can become a billionaire. Nobody is stopping you. The issue is are you ready to sacrifice what it takes to become a billionaire? Are you ready to sacrifice what it takes to become a software engineer at a top tech company? Are you willing to spend hours studying lead code, refreshing your resume, being really excited about learning? Are you willing to do that? If you are not, decide now and find something that you are actually willing to do. And this is not me saying for you to go quit. This is me saying, decide. And it's okay to change your mind. Just make a decision. Don't let somebody pick for you. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to be wrong. Because 5 years ago, I decided to be a biomedical engineer, and I eventually decided that, hey, I know that I have higher leverage as a software engineer, and I'm actually going to do that now. And I fought as much as I possibly could to get into software engineering, and I'm lucky that I ended up in the role that I'm at now. In fact, I like to say that the fact that I'm a software engineering now is nothing short of a miracle. And when people ask me, oh, why or how did you get into it? I usually just say, hey, I was really lucky. And I'm okay with that because I'm deciding as a software engineer now, I'm going to really lean into that luck. I'm creating luck for myself by creating more content, by going to hackathons, by trying my best to meet people who will give me a chance. Because that's essentially what I got when I started my first software engineering job. I was given a chance. And I hope that somebody gives you a chance, but hey, you need to be putting yourself out there in order to do it. Software engineering is one of the highest leverage fields because you affect the most amount of people. And I also think that as a software engineer, it's okay for you to say to yourself, I want to work for somebody else because, hey, I'm getting rewarded at the upper percentile of what an engineer in general gets paid. I get all these benefits and I get to, enjoy my life and whatever, right? But you also should know that as a software engineer, you also have the chance to take the entirety of the pot for yourself. But you just got to be ready to deal with the pain of doing so. You as a provider is a whole different set of responsibilities that you're going to have to undertake. At the end of the day, you have agency. You just got to pick what you want and go get it. And all I can wish you is good luck. Thanks for watching. Peace.